14% of the population doesn't have this muscle. This giant egg of seasoning that I found in my bag of Doritos. In the Netherlands, people love to eat mayonnaise with their fries. The Dutch supermarkets sell American fry sauce, claiming to capture the authentic American taste of mayonnaise for fries. As far as I know, Americans don't eat mayo on their fries. My M&M had an N on it instead of an M. I'm pretty sure nobody cares, but I felt I needed to share. Found a super cool chalice, I think, at a thrift store. Box of cereal that is separated right out of the box. Can inside a can. Found a cocoon of a bug on the back of my notebook. This stack of papers from my 10th grade school year is 2 feet tall. This nickel after spending at least a year in the dry lint trap. Found approximately 130-year-old bar of soap in the ceiling of my 1880s home during a kitchen remodel. A photo of Venus I got a few days ago. Rebuilding a house and found a can of V8 juice from 1973 in the wall. I cut open a watermelon and it was yellow. Tasted the same. This anti-theft device at a souvenir shop in St. Simons. Saw a photo taking about fry sauce in the Netherlands, so here is American heat dogs. There was a smiley face hiding inside of our green bell pepper. Maybe it's just me, but I hate this clock so much. My hotel shower had an arm pass through, so that you could get the temperature just right before entering. The way the oil melts, dissolves, this foam at my job. If you cover up Simmons' face, it looks like Garfunkel has a really long mustache. The walking trail around the park I visited has signs identifying and describing various trees along the path with a QR code you can scan to learn more about each one. Rock formation of the United States. Today I woke up to this. This loaf of bread from Walmart doesn't have any bread in it. I crusted my Uncrustable. Deconstructed iPhone art I made out of something broken. Do unto others as you wish others do unto you. My dad sent me these 100-ish-year-old lengths of copper wire. Double mozzarella stick. My cat has one bulk whisker. Moved into our apartment. There is a metal rack inside the microwave. My multivitamin gum is melted when I left it in the car for a day. Found a heart-shaped potato. A rock I found in the ocean a few years ago. My left and right eye contact lenses each come from different countries. Came across an unopened bottle of Coke from 1996 at a local thrift store. Stopped by the doctor's office, and they had a condo bar. This license plate I found in Split, Croatia. the pretty phallic Cheeto in my bag. These before and after PET scan images of my lymphoma. Fortune cookie came with a free THC edible. Found a dinosaur spaghetti in my Alfredo pasta. A plant started growing in a little crack in my windowsill. Found this red highway sign, which is something you don't see often in the US. Heart-shaped strawberry. The choice to make a logo for a food truck look like a porn site logo. This strawberry looks like a kidney bean. Carafa gas station in Spain has gate to leave after paying. I got a steroid shot in my joint and my wrist caved in. The Beatles on their mad day out huddle around a dying John Lennon in 1968. My wife's collection of medicine cups. Wasps making hive in one-way mirror birdhouse. The part of the pillow where I put my head is noticeably more faded. My local library has a custom board game named after my town. My family caught a snail. This is Fred. Fred is a snail. We've never caught a snail before. Dad, Fred is a snail. Fred is not liable for any slime in unspecified places. Fred does not like subs. Fred is not responsible for uncontrollable flatulence, odd random noises, or the destroying of the entire galaxy known as the Milky Way, including our solar system and the tiny atom particles that make up our pathetic planet that we are destroying carelessly, aka Earth. Every step we take. Fred is also not legal tender copy. Please do not feed Fred to the turtle. I found a floppy pencil in class. This restroom has the perfect solution for dudes who stand too far back. But can it play Kinect Adventures? Map that shows people of different nations attending dental practice in Brisbane, Australia. One-stop shopping. Fisker Ocean electric vehicle with solar sky roof. A statistic from my Spotify Wrapped from a couple years ago. Inside and Inside Out Cooks. Your top song of the year was Sofa Song by the Cooks. You played it a very reasonable 1037 times, as is your right. Avocado, where the nut is the size of an avocado. I feel like they missed the opportunity to name it the electrified Alexis Electric. Lexus Electrified. This cheese sauce and a post-it note. Speed limit sign attached to a tree. Sorting through the colors and found something. John's house in Ottawa, built in 1923, but it's actually Susan and her sister's house. This deformed famous Amos cookie. A container of grapes at my house. The bee lives less than 40 days, visits at least 1,000 flowers, and produces less than a teaspoon of honey. For us, it is only a teaspoon of honey, but for the bee, it is a life. Thank you, bees. Running out of children due to the low birth rates, a school in South Korea is opening their doors and allowing illiterate grandmothers to enroll, so they can also learn to read. A quote from the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. Jefferson being the American founding father that physically wrote down the founding documents. I'm not an advocate for frequent changes in laws and constitutions, but laws and institutions must go hand in hand with the progress of the human mind. As that becomes more developed, more enlightened, as new discoveries are made, new truths discovered, and manners and opinions change. With the change of circumstances, institutions must advance also, to keep pace with the times. We might as well require a man to wear still the coat which fitted him when a boy as civilized society, to remain ever under the regimen of their barbarous ancestors. Self-made millionaire Harris Rosen adopted a Florida neighborhood called Tangelo Park, cut the crime rate in half, and increased the high school graduation rate from 25% to 100% by giving everyone free daycare and all high school graduates scholarships. A Romanian-born Israeli and American scientist, engineer, professor, teacher, and a Holocaust survivor, Liviu Librescu, held the door of his classroom shut during the Virginia Tech shooting. Although he was shot through the door, Librescu managed to prevent the gunman from entering the classroom until most of his students had escaped through the windows. He saved 22 of his 23 students. One of the rarest horse breeds in the world, Akilteka horses have unique hair structure that gives them a metallic sheen, which is why they are nicknamed golden horses. In the UK, you can find wavy walls. Wavy walls require fewer bricks to build than normal walls, but only the most experienced bricklayers can make them. When 3 men with machetes slipped into an orphanage at night, a man named Omari decided to take on the attackers single-handedly. He got slashed in the face with the machetes, but ultimately saved the orphans. His story helped raise over $80,000 for the orphanage. This is what is kept inside every police car in the Netherlands. If you look closely, you'll see 2 teddy bears. Dutch police are required to keep them, to give away to children who are experiencing difficult times. In 1837, in the case of Sutherland v Newton, a British man sued a woman who bit off half of his nose after he tried to kiss her without consent. The judge ruled against him, stating that when a man kisses a woman against her will, she is fully entitled to bite his nose off, if she so pleases. Jake Daniels, bulk pool footballer, comes out at just 17, becoming the only openly gay male professional footballer or soccer player in Britain. Stay strong, Jake. The Mangditu people are from Central Africa, Congo. They believe that an elongated skull with a flattened forehead pleases the gods. The story of the miracle pine, the only tree out of 70,000 to survive the 2011 tsunami in Japan, being protected and restored. Our Milky Way galaxy, red dot, in the Laniakea supercluster, consisting of 100,000s of galaxies, all orbiting an unknown gravitational anomaly, called the Great Attractor. Superclusters are the biggest known objects in the universe. An American prisoner of war was nicknamed the Incredibly Stupid One by his Vietnamese captors. Upon returning to the US, he provided the names of over 200 prisoners of war, which he had memorized to the tune of Old MacDonald Had a Farm. The carcass of a boreal raccoon, with fungus growing from the palm of its paw, like a bouquet of flowers from beyond the grave. Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, stroked Queen Elizabeth's leg above the knee during a state breakfast in 1961. The Queen was quite astonished. The Italian bank called Credito Emiliano accepts Parmigiano Reggiano cheese as collateral for small business loans. While holding the cheese's insurance, the bank also stores and ages them in climate-controlled vaults. As long as the loan is active, the more the cheese ages, the more valuable it gets, much like interest-bearing accounts. The warehouse can store 440,000 wheels of cheese. MS-13 gang members locked inside El Salvadoran gang cages. These overcrowded 12 by 15 cages were designed to be 72-hour holding cells for common criminals and the to rival gangs, but many of the individuals have been imprisoned for over a year. Queen Victoria, the second longest serving queen and ruler of the British Empire, drank a shot of opium every day, carried cooked when chewing gum, and smoked Mary Jane to ease her stomach pains. When sperm whales need a nap, they take a deep breath, dive down about 45 feet, and arrange themselves into perfectly level, vertical patterns. No one knew whales slept vertically until a 2008 study documented the behavior, and no one captured really good photography of it in the wild until 2017. In the 1980s, NASA scientist Lonnie Johnson got the idea for a water gun after her shot a stream of water across the room during a pump project. After testing a prototype out with his 7-year-old daughter, he made millions debuting the iconic Super Soaker. Known as Pilea burrows, these enormous tunnels can measure up to 2,000 feet long and over 6 feet tall. These huge tunnels, found across southern Brazil, were dug by giant prehistoric sloths. The size of a fully grown Australian saltwater crocodile compared to a human. A 2,000-year-old Thracian chariot with horse skeletons found in Karanovo, Bulgaria. Archaeological complex village of Karanovo. An unaltered image of a rarely captured aerial phenomena called a red sprite, which only lasts a few milliseconds. Credit, Stephen Hummel. Chinese doctors bow to 11-year-old boy who chose to donate his organs to save lives after losing his battle to brain cancer. This is the only existing photo of Chernobyl taken on the morning of the nuclear accident. The heavy grain is due to the huge amount of radiation in the air that began to destroy the camera film the second it was exposed. Oscar Glenn March invented mud flaps to solve the problem of water and rocks being kicked up by the wheels and damaging radar equipment when he served in the US Army World War II. During the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in Japan, a young worker named Makiendo, aged 24, was a savior who protected thousands during the crisis. The brave soul who was working at the crisis management department at Minami-Sanraku Town continued to broadcast warnings on the loudspeaker to help people evacuate to safety until the waves washed down her office, killing her in the process. This is William West and William West, and they are the reason fingerprints were created to find criminals, because they were not related at all, shared the same exact name, and looked identical to one another. Brooklyn Supreme, the world's largest horse around 1940. He stood 19.2 hands, 6 feet 6 inches, tall and weighed 3,200 pounds, 1,451 kilograms. If you need me, I'll be in my hut. George Bernard Shaw had a writing hut he would use to escape people. It was built on a turntable, so it could rotate to follow the sunlight throughout the day. It had a typewriter, a heater, a phone for emergencies or food, and a bed, so he could lie down. Shaw said, "People bother me. I came here to hide from them." In 1995, Andrei Bambursky left, found a man guilty of killing his daughter in France, but Keller avoided sentencing by hiding out in Germany. In 2009, Andrei hired a team to kidnap the killer from Germany and to dump him in front of a French courthouse. It worked, and he is now serving 15 years. African wild dogs vote on whether not to go on a hunt by sneezing. If a dominant pair sneezes first, then 2 additional sneezes will mean a hunt occurs on average. If non-dominant dogs sneeze first, then it typically takes 10 additional sneezes to sway the group to hunt. Zebra foals imprint on their mother's unique pattern of stripes. Keepers wear a special coat, so the orphan foal will automatically recognize whoever wears it as his caregiver. In 2014, This French weather presenter announced the forecast for August 18, 2050 as part of a campaign to alert to the reality of climate change. Now her forecast, that day is the actual forecast for the coming 4 or 5 days, in mid-June 2022. For 50 years, Denmark and Canada has been at war over this rock. Today they finally agreed on splitting it. I present to you, the border between Denmark and Canada. Jim Carrey, the Grinch, and Eddie Murphy, the Nutty Professor, on the set. They were shooting next to each other for different movies in 2000. The bird with a mousy brown pelage moving through the vegetation or cultivated field is easily mistaken as a mouse. Thus, the speckled mouse bird is called so due to its mouse-like appearance. Manhattan, 1879. This farmhouse stood where 84th Street and Broadway cross today. Anna has sung in 10 different languages. She also sang in Latin, Spanish, Japanese, French, the fictional language Quenya, and Loxian, a language constructed by Ryan herself, among others. The total sales of her albums have reached the sum of 75 million units. I always wanted to hug an elephant. This female is so sweet and affectionate. She picks me up with her trunk to carry me. She is safe now, in a haven of freedom, peace and tender loving care. The tropical rock lobster, Panulirus ornatus, takes 18 months to grow to 1 kilogram and is farmed in parts of the Indo-Pacific Oceans. In 1597, these were the biggest windows on any private house in the world. They called it Hardwick Hall, more glass than wall. I clean and build bird skeletons. Here's my latest.